Starting off with our top focus in this edition, China's 19th Party Congress opens in a little over 1 week from now. Some crucial changes can be expected to take place, the most important being President Xi Jinping's confirmation for a second term. The world will be looking for clues as to who could succeed him, or is Xi heading for an unprecedented third term in office. Xi Jinping is expected to make a run at a third term and promote loyalists to the party's Politburo, while the Chinese Premier Li Keqiang is expected to retain his office. Han Zheng, the party's secretary of Shanghai too, is expected to remain a part in the Politburo. The Chinese president could promote Xie Mener and Hu Chunhua, two well-known loyalists who are presently in charge of key provinces. Hu Chunhua, the party secretary of Guangdong, could be named vice premier. All eyes on what this key rejig of China's leadership would look like. What's on cards? What's on Xi Jinping's mind? Who gets ousted and who gets promoted? Will the loyalists get promoted when the reshuffle takes place in just over a week from now? On October 18th is when the Communist Party Congress will be meeting. All eyes on what this rejig would entail. Let's go straight across to senior journalist from Beijing joining us on the broadcast. Atul Aneja is with us. Good evening, sir. Appreciate you joining us on the broadcast. First up, what are you picking up on what this reshuffle is expected to look like? Mr. Aneja, if my voice is going through to you, what are you gathering at this point when the reshuffle is widely being discussed? What is the speculation like, and what are you picking up on what the reshuffle could look like?
Well, as your initial remarks said, this is the beginning of the consolidation, a process of further consolidation by President Xi Jinping. And, you know, the key body, which is the main decision-making body, is the Standing Committee of the Politburo. That has the 7 members. So, you know, these two are fixed. That is Xi Jinping himself and Prime Minister Li Keqiang. And then you come to these other 5 members. So what I do gather over here is that these are going to be individuals who have served with President Xi when he was in a lower rank as a party secretary, etc. So these are the people whom he is familiar with, and you can say they are his loyalists in a way. And the new Politburo is Standing Committee of the Politburo is likely to be more cohesive, and which means that Xi Jinping's own declaration as a core leader is going to be enhanced. There's also this perception that, you know, in this particular tenure, Xi Jinping is likely to, or there's an aspiration for him to be counted in the same ranks as Chairman Mao and Deng Xiaoping. And therefore, there is an emphasis that Xi Jinping's thought, you know, as a separate category, is also likely to be introduced in his second tenure. So the idea is to position Xi Jinping as the iconic leader who will shepherd a major transition which the China and Chinese economy. There's also going to be a greater focus on China's external relations, because I think it's sorted out most of the internal factional fighting, Kushilao, you know, there were various factions. The consolidation has already been done, it's going to be further enhanced. So the focus shifts more from the internal property to the external and the economy, Belt and Road. So there is China's rise as a great power is likely to be the focus after the party congress convenes. There's one caveat here. Of course, Jinping's control over PLA. He has time again demanded complete loyalty of the PLA to the party. I think that particular emphasis is because probably there are factors in the case which have developed his own anti-corruption campaign. And he has targeted very powerful figures and the creation of data. Data is one element of how to evolve and I think it is second up.
Right, Mr. Aneja, point taken. I'm going to request you to stay on with us, please, as we take our viewers through, as you also pointed out, what the reshuffle is going to look like. A bit of an audio problem also there. We'll just try and reconnect with Mr. Aneja. But while we do that, here's a look at what the reshuffle could look like, as we have been discussing the loyalists and those aides close to Xi Jinping could be promoted. This is in just over a week from now, when China's 19th Communist Party Congress meets. Some crucial changes are expected to take place on October 18th. Here's a look at who could be promoted. There is a widespread speculation that Han Zheng, the party secretary of Shanghai, is expected to remain apart in the Politburo. The Chinese president could also promote Cher Mener and Hu Chunhua, who are two well-known loyalists who are presently in charge of key provinces. Hu Chunhua, the party secretary of Gandoang, could also be named vice premier. Now, this is just a few days from now. But what exactly would this leadership reshuffle really mean for China? Mr. Aneja is back with us. Sir, also, there is a strong buzz on whether or not Xi Jinping will actually seize greater powers. Would this be a long shot to say that more powers for Xi would mean that China is back on the path of liberalization?
Well, you see, there are two things which are happening parallelly.
Yes.
One is the economic reforms which are going on. But there's a nuance just taking place during the first term during his presidency. And that is the party role within so-called market economy has increased. So there is also a question of supervision from the party which has not quite prominently during. So I think liberalization is not the right word. It is a state market. I think that is a model which is being no problem during a second. Also, an important element that happened. Usually, the state council under was the main guardian of DD6. But what has happened during this term that within the Communist Party in ASEAN, the leading group felt